Welcome to another episode of Methanol Madness, brought to us by Daltons Landscape Suppliers. No Craig tonight, he's having the week off, but joining me in the studio is the voice of Ruapuna, AJ Batt. Welcome to the show, AJ. We had a pretty big weekend.
Hi Louise, yeah, great weekend, and what a big package of highlights we've got to go through.
It was certainly a good one, wrapping up the Daltons Sprint Car Summer Slam and of course the Avon Insurance Modified Clay Cup. To get the show started, we'll go to our Crash of the Week, kindly brought to us by Elite Re-Roofing. Looking at some of the modified sprint racing over the weekend, we've got Gus Dawson and Brett Booth in one of the heat races here, AJ, and things got a little bit carnage at the end of the straight.
Yeah, things got wild, didn't they? And they got wild very quickly. Gus Dawson was carrying so much pace in there. Real shame for Boothie because he was running solidly, but there was contact, and that's all she wrote over. Gus went, and it was a bit amazing that they managed to patch that car together to run later in the program, but that was a tumble and a half.
Gus certainly coming hot off that heat win earlier in the night, and then to come out this one is certainly carrying a lot of speed, and he was choosing the right lines and thought he had it on the inside of Boothie there, but unfortunately the two coming together there pretty heavily, but they were very lucky to make it back out again. And moving on to our Herrick Creek Distillery review of the night, of course a pretty big night in the Saturday just gone out at Ruapuna Speedway. The first class we're going to look at is the V6 wingless sprints, AJ.
Yeah, it was really good to see some new boys, new faces in victory lane, isn't it? The heat race action was, you know, pretty thick and fast for a smaller field than we've been getting. A few of the guys sort of starting to crank up for that big Ruapuna rumble that's coming up. Corey Duckmanton, he'll still be celebrating a great heat win, but how good was it to see Aaron Hutton pulling into victory lane, his first feature win, and man, he just so enjoyed it. And that's what I'm really enjoying about the Winners Circle area. You know, victory lane, these guys, they get that little bit of exposure, and there's the emotion all comes out, and it was great for Aaron. What a racer.
Always enjoy seeing a first-time winner step into victory lane down at Ruapuna. It was certainly a great feat for Aaron, and he was very happy with that result as well. Of course, we also had quarter midgets racing, which turned into a bit of Clark domination with Jackson and Brooke Clark taking out heat race winners, and then it would be Jackson also picking up his first feature win. So it was a really cool night for the SN racing team, able to tick off a feature win for the season, and Jackson was very happy with that one as well, so cool to get another first-time winner. We also, of course, had the TQs out there, a strong field as always. Heat races won by Ricky Brett, Morgan Frost and Jeremy Webb returning to the TQ as well. It'd be Jeremy Webb that would go on to win the feature. Second would be Ricky Brett, and third place Ethan Smith, another podium for one of the youngest competitors out there. It was an early race incident there with Ben Morgan actually that almost took him out of contention, having to go to the back and work his way up again, but the rest of the field was very lucky to avoid that. It was also the final round of the Daltons Sprint Car Summer Slam, a slightly smaller field, but the racing nonetheless still put on a great show.
Yeah, I thought that the smaller field might actually detract from it, but there's no way. You know, those guys, they were really getting stuck into it. Brilliant win for Oscar Harcourt in the first heat race. Dylan Forsey continues to impress, pulled a massive wheelie at one stage, and Caleb Bourne won the feature. I thought Jaden Dodge put up a really good performance in the feature race. You know, he sort of went back through the field and he came on strong, and so that was a really good performance from him. And another guy I was so happy for was Steve Duff Jr. He's sort of been on the sideline now for a couple of months, maybe trying to decide even if he wanted to race anymore, and he was back to his absolute best. You know, that car's been sorted out, and Junior looked so strong.
Our feature class for the night was, of course, the Avon Insurance Modified Sprint Clay Cup, a highly sought out event for that class, and a great turnout turned up for it as well. So awesome to see some really great racing throughout the night for those guys too, AJ.
Yeah, really good, very competitive, and that's one thing about the modified sprints, right through the field. If a driver gets an opportunity, he tends to take it, seize it. We saw earlier the accident there in the Crash of the Week, but Gus Dawson, his drive in the first heat race, I thought this guy is absolutely up for it. Craig Cox again, you know, how good is Coxie, but he tried ever so hard. Taken out eventually by Invercargill's Jaden Fraser, and he just looked so solid all night long. He's a great gatherer of points early in the program, and next thing, once the points from the qualifying heats are added up, he's invariably there or thereabouts. And I was really rapt for Jaden because he's been a great supporter. It's a very long and boring trip from Invercargill to Christchurch and then back home, and for him to taste some real success, big ups to him and his team because he absolutely deserved it. Coxie tried hard, but it was Jaden Fraser's night.
I did think that Craig Cox's drive in that feature, certainly you could tell how hard he was trying, and he was catching Jaden at some points, but unfortunately just didn't have anything and had to settle for second. Third place went to Harry McIntyre as well, who we've seen pick up a feature win so far this season already, and certainly a dominant force in the modified sprint class. I just want to also note about Liam Astle's engine expiry there after Heat 3. Last year's Clay Cup champion, unfortunately out of contention, going up in flames there on the last lap. So very lucky that Liam was okay, but unfortunately for him, his run to defend his title was over. Now it's time to take a quick break, and following that we're going to have a look at our new share and win competition.
This ain't your fancy store-bought stuff. This is Herrick Creek moonshine, handcrafted right here in New Zealand. Made with real corn by real people and a whole lot of heart. It's smooth, it's strong, it's real. Experience New Zealand in a jar with Herrick Creek moonshine.
Welcome to Wellington's largest caravan and RV shop. CB Caravans and RV Centre look after repairs and maintenance, and they are leak specialists. CB Caravans and RV Centre import UK caravans. Need to sell? They can help. CB Caravans and RV Centre, your caravan solution. Catch up with Will and Wendy today.
Always great to have the CB Caravans and RV Centre's team as a part of the show, thanks to Will and Wendy. We've got a new share and win competition going up this week, AJ.
Yeah, another one, and we'll send 10 family passes out there to some winners. All you've got to do is share this post and like it, and you go into the share and win for the 10 family passes for the Friday night's action, the first night of our Speed Week.
Of course, that is a little preview promotion into the Speed Week that we have coming up. 4 nights of racing, over $100,000 worth of prize money going out for our drivers. So be sure to share that and make sure you either buy your tickets online or put yourself in the draw to win. Time to move on now to Dirt Track News, brought to us by CB Caravans and RV Centres, where we're going to head up to Western Springs and take a look at the racing that they had there over the weekend, which of course included the New Zealand Midget Grand Prix as well as the Sprint Car 50 Lap Classic. The Grand Prix was taken out by Brad Mosen. Second place went to Hayden Williams, racing for HLR back behind the seat. And third place went to Ben Morrison in just his first year in the midget class. There was a few nasty crashes throughout the night. There's some videos up on Facebook there of Mitch Fabish taking a pretty ugly tumble there. And of course, Michael Pickens' big tumble there out of turn 2, which actually ended up taking him out of contention of the 50 lap sprint car race. This 50 lapper, AJ, was pretty exciting, and we saw one of our crowd favourites, Jonathan Allard, taking out the win.
Yeah, very much a race of two halves, wasn't it? Even though the same guy dominated basically from go to woe. I do think that it sort of lost a little bit of the gloss, being two 25-lap deals with the pit stop and so on. And of course, someone's running around with a rule book and the drivers have got to get out of the cars, and it probably interrupted the flow of it. But for his time spent on the sideline earlier this year, hasn't Jonathan Allard just come back all guns blazing? And but for a mechanical problem, the Nationals could very easily have gone his way. But what they call it, the Royal 50 Lapper or something like that up there at Western Springs, that was well worth winning. It was like 20 grand to win, and so Jonathan Allard won it. James Dunn was second, an absolute hard charger. I wish we saw more of him down here. And Ryan O'Connor, a good solid third placing for him. Best of the South Island boys in the Spear Daltons car was Connor Rangi, brought that home in 6th. And unfortunately, DNF's registered for Jamie Duff and for Matthew Levisage. Got to say, Jamie Duff in the early going, the sort of preliminary part of the program with the time trials and dashes and so on, he was looking really good. So unlucky for Jamie, but he'll be very happy to come back from Western Springs with the car complete.
Yeah, definitely very unlucky for some of our South Island boys there. Just to note that Jamie Duff was running 4th place when an incident with the 2NZ of Dean Cooper took him out of contention for that one. So pretty disappointing for those guys. We had another Christchurch driver take up Western Springs as well, which was Brodie Morris and his quarter midget. So Brodie headed up there, a lifelong dream and a tick off the bucket list for Brodie to get to set foot on Western Springs and race his quarter midget around there. He had some pretty solid heats, advancing from 13th into 7th in the first one, 3rd to 4th in his second heat, and starting 5th place in the feature, he ended up finishing 7th. So some pretty good results all around up at Western Springs. And coming off the back of their big weekend for their Clay Cup Championship, there's a couple of moves happening in the modified sprint class, AJ.
Yes, word on the street is that Craig Cox has sold his car to Liam Astle, and Cox has bought a midget car. How good is that? Could take a little bit of adapting too, from racing on the speedways wholly and solely with a wing, now going to a wingless class as such, but and setups are going to be totally different for him. But Coxie is the sort of guy that I suspect has just got enough raw and natural talent that he's going to make a really good fist of it. And we all know how good Liam Astle is, don't we?
It'll certainly be great to see Liam Astle stepping into that Craig Cox car. We know how fast that is, and Liam's showed great speed and talent in his years in the modified sprint class as well. And how good to add another midget to our midget class. Obviously the field there is slowly starting to build up the momentum that it so deserves, so great to see another driver stepping into that class as well. Next up, we're going to move on to our Herrick Creek Distillery preview, where we're going to take a look at the Speed Week that we've got coming up. 4 nights of racing for over $100,000 of prize money for these drivers that are attending from all over the country. Pretty big week coming up there, AJ?
Yeah, sure is. Probably just as well we've got a couple of weekends off so we can build up some energy and get ready for this, because it is going to be huge, isn't it? The welcome to the Thunderdome Speed Week. $100,000 up for grabs, absolutely unheard of. And look at the response from the drivers. The midget field's capped at 30, sold out. She's a full house. The TQ's likewise. The Ruapuna Rumble for the wingless sprints, it's at 29 right now. Entries for the sprint cars are starting to build very quickly, and what a class field we've got looming for 4 big nights of racing.
To get that week started, of course, Friday, April 5th will be the BT Race for Mates, which hosts 30-lap features for both TQ and midget classes, and with entries capped at 30, they're actually full already, so big momentum to start off that week, and of course an event that means a lot to a lot of competitors. Also on that night, AJ, we've got the night 1 of the Sprint Car Grand Prix, which of course will lead into night 2 on the Saturday.
Yeah, New Zealand Sprint Car Grand Prix, certainly one of the key events on the calendar for the sprint cars, and the drivers, the entry list is starting to build just nicely. Apart from the 2 Americans with Joel Myers Jr. flying back from the States and Jonathan Allard, former New Zealand champions. You've got Daniel Thomas, you've got Jamie Duff, you've got Jamie Larson, you've got Jamie McDonald as former New Zealand champions that are taking part in it. And then you've got Dean Cooper and Stephen Taylor. He's got a pretty big fan following down here. And all our South Island guys, it is going to be a huge weekend of action, that New Zealand Sprint Car Grand Prix. So heat racing on the Friday night, also culminating in the Salute to Goody Sprint Car feature race. And then we've got the points carry on for the feature race, New Zealand Sprint Car Grand Prix on the Saturday night.
A couple of big nights there for the sprint cars to get Speed Week started, and of course with midgets coming from all over the country, we've got an event on Saturday night for them also. Be the Hang Up Entertainment King of the South Midget Eliminator Race. Now this is the first time we've ever hosted this race, a brand new format to New Zealand, and with details to come in the coming weeks, we're certainly looking forward to announcing this one and seeing how it all plays out. It's guaranteed to put on a great show for the crowd. And moving on to the rest of the week, AJ, we've also got Thursday and Saturday coming up for the Gold Cups.
It is the Thursday night, first night of the Ruapuna Rumble for the wingless sprints, that big field that we've got there. A lot of the midgets and TQs are hanging around for it too. They're going to get some more action in, and it is the Salute to Goody sprint cars, and pretty much the first night of the R&R Duff Sprint Car Gold Cup that's going on. So Thursday night is going to be an absolute barn burner of a show. Be worth getting out of work early for that one.
And of course, to finish out the week, Saturday, April 13th will be the finale of the season for Ruapuna Speedway, as well as the big feature races for the Gold Cups for the midgets and the sprint car classes. AJ, the Gold Cup is a big one for us.
It is the R&R Duff Sprint Car Gold Cup. It's an event that's built momentum ever since its inception 22 years ago or so, and it's one that they all want to win. A lot of money up for grabs on this one, $20,000 to the winner. That's certainly going to pay someone's tyre bill for the night anyway, and they're really going to be chasing this. And it is a sort of race. At the end of a weekend, there's a lot of things that can happen. Sort of a little bit of tiredness starts creeping into the vehicles, and it's a very open book, I feel, this Sprint Car Gold Cup, and I think we're ready for an upset winner.
The Gold Cup is certainly one of Ruapuna's biggest events and draws drivers from all over the country. As we alluded to earlier in the show there, the midgets and TQs are already at capacity there for that first night with the BT Race for Mates. That will of course include the 1NZ of Brad Mosen and the 3NZ of Mitch Fabish in the midget field. We've also got Michael Pickens running both classes, which was always fantastic to see someone running double duty. Jonathan Allard and Joel Myers Jr. will be bringing the Californian flavour to the sprint car field, and we'll get to see the 1, 2 and 3 NZ sprint car competitors all at the track on that weekend. AJ, that's a massive week of racing.
It absolutely is, and you know, this is the stuff that us Speedway tragics live for. And you know, $100,000 up for grabs, but we've got some great partners out there, haven't we? You know, we've got Avon Insurance, Hang Up Entertainment, City South Van Spears, Royce Clive Engineering, and then there's a whole lot of smaller partners contributing for the R&R Duff Sprint Car Gold Cup. So you know, we couldn't do it without their support, and of course for the kids and for all the big kids, the fireworks on both Saturday nights. It's going to be a ripper.
Speed Week definitely shaping up to be one that you don't want to miss. A reminder on those dates there in case you don't have them already locked in your calendar. April 5th, 6th, 11th and 13th are the ones you want to get down to Ruapuna Speedway and get the most of all the action coming to the track. That wraps up tonight's show. My thanks to AJ for joining us in the studio as always, and until next time, keep your foot up it.